Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone had a good weekend. We are back. Let me get the music on here. I'm back. Okay. So, what's everyone looking at this morning? One better have their coffee. Okay. We are all set up to go. So, SPY. Everything's pretty much even. IWM's up 0.3%, but SPY up 0.03%, Q's down 0.02%. So let's continue. Let's see what we got. SPY. Let's redo the chart. This is what I had from Friday. Right, we had this previous resistance. Last week we bounced perfectly off of this previous resistance as a new support off 407.5. And then we saw a huge move to the upside. But let's redo this chart. See what we got. Right, so then I had this drawn out. Right, and we kind of have this forming, right? This rising wedge is kind of, being put in place here. Okay. Resistance above, right? So obviously we're going to have this resistance above at 415. And then below that, this level here. Right around this resistance here as well. All right, so 414 and 415, if that decides to reject, well, let's see, right? Because this does start to look like a rising wedge. Right, and this is the most major level below. This level too, actually. 410 and then 407.5. Right, so 4 levels here in place. And maybe even this one. Let's zoom in a bit. Right, this previous double top that we had here. Previous resistance turned into a resistance. Once we broke, right, we saw a huge move to the upside. So that we could use as well. It also lined up perfectly here. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Okay, so gotta see what happens at open. Don't really like the setup for a SPY though. In the short term, right? Need to just see how this plays out. Qs, let's redo this as well. Qs have just been steadily moving up, right? Up, consolidation, up, consolidation, up, consolidation. So need to see how price reacts here. Right, we kind of have these highs getting rejected across the board here around this 321 level, right? Resistance, rejected again, created a lower high. Right, lower highs are being put in place. So if we do reject here, right, most likely we're going to test this low and then push back down to the low around the 312 or so. Let's keep it going. So, right, that's what I'd be looking at here on the Qs. But if we do get that continuation, because we are in an overall uptrend, right, everything is just up, recently. We would need a break of this high here, of 320.36. Change that to green. If everyone could drop a like on the video, I'd appreciate it. Okay. And look where we were bouncing too, right? It's always just good to take a look at where price is bouncing off of, right? Previous resistance acted as resistance, and then we acted as support numerous times, right? It dipped below every single time, but buyers stepped in every single time. IWM just been straight up choppy. We have this resistance here, right? And we also have these higher lows being put in place, right? So we do have a slight wedge here. Need to see if this low holds, right? If 175.58 can hold, which is this double bottom here, we might potentially get a push to the upside. All right, let's get on with the setups here. NVIDIA. Right, NVIDIA, I took a swing last week. Unfortunately, Kramer is bullish. So that's not that good, right? Kramer mentioned that he's bullish on NVIDIA. We'll see how it plays out, right? Great chart. Previous resistance, acted as resistance, acted as support, 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 support. Numerous times we've bounced off this level here at 264, right? We also have this wedge being put in place, right? Lower and lower highs, right? Price action is getting tighter and tighter. We started to break out of this wedge here towards the end of the day, right? So great risk to reward, right? We have a stop loss below here and a price target around 275 or so, right? For Friday expiration. Okay. Yeah, we need to take a look at VIX. So let's delete this from last week. All right, look at this VIX chart. So we dipped below 18, which was these previous supports here, right? We bounced numerous times off this 18.5 and this 18 level. Now we dipped below, right? We saw a huge move to the downside. Now on the smaller time frame, right? Look at this resistance here, right? If this breaks out, we're seeing downside over 1779, right? This resistance here, and we're rejecting right now, actually. If this breaks through, we should see a push up to 18, which means SPY and everything else to the downside, which I do like puts if we can break below this 411.92 level. And so I'll definitely keep an eye on VIX. VIX definitely looks like it can move right back up to 18.5 or so. Right, but then that would be invalid if we see VIX break below here, right? Nice little wedge on VIX here on the smaller time frames. All right, so set an alert there, set an alert here, right? That way you don't have to keep an eye on everything at once. All right, so if that breaks out to the upside, SPY to the downside, which would make sense. So NVIDIA, right? Just went over that plan. If anyone has any questions on that, let me know. Tesla up 0.9% here in pre-market. On the higher time frames, I really like the setup, right? We have higher lows, lower highs. Huge, huge flag. All right, here's the flag, flag pole, right? Dip, move to the upside, dip again, right? Multiple bounces off this bottom trend line. So we're curious to see if this bottom can hold, and then we see a move back up to 191 and then potentially even higher. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at there, which is why I took a long. Looks pretty decent. AMD is at a pretty significant level here. Right, we have a nice wedge, but we're at this double bottom, right? Previous support, previous support. But below, we don't really have that much room to run to the downside. Right, we have this huge resistance that we're approaching, right, at 89 pretty much. Right, so if this does see a move to the downside, we have a huge support below. But yeah, Tesla has its earnings on Wednesday too, so be aware. Right, always be aware if there's earnings. NVIDIA, not for a long time. Tesla earnings on Wednesday. Maybe a pre-earnings run, we'll see. But if AMD can reclaim this wedge, then sure, looks pretty good with the stop loss below. Apple's pretty strong, right? When Apple's strong, it's market can run. Market can definitely run. Okay. Kind of have this wedge, right? This wedge last week was so perfect on Apple, right? Great play. I think it went up 100% my calls. That was a sweet play. Right, it kind of flagged here a little bit as well. All right, higher lows, lower highs. Now we're sitting at the high again. All right, so let's see if we can break 166.84, which is the high. All right, a push up to the next resistance makes sense. So I need to see how it reacts. But regarding a setup to, an actionable setup, we could take it through here, but I don't know. Not really a fan. Google down 4% based off of the AI news. Not going to look at that. Facebook is super interesting, or Meta. Right, this wedge just keeps extending, right? And we just keep getting further and further and tighter within this wedge. Right, huge rising wedge, but it's almost too big to be a rising wedge at this point, but we'll see. Let's see if there's any resistance we're approaching. This level here at 224, right? I mean, if we do push up to 224 again, or even the highs from last week, maybe we see a big rejection. But I don't like a short on Meta or even a long, but I don't like a short. It has a better risk to reward until we break below 216.94, which is this previous double top that acted as a support. Microsoft, right, up 1.7% based on that news. Nice little wedge here. Previous resistance acted as support, and now we're approaching that 292, which is the level from April 6th. Oops. So let's see if Microsoft can push through 292, which is the high from the 6th, and we could definitely see some continuation. My trading view name is just Enhanced Market. Okay. BABA, I was really considering taking BABA puts on Friday. I'm happy I didn't. Obviously, it's up 2%, but right, we had this flag, perfect breakdown, right? And then we kind of had this bear flag, right? Higher lows, lower highs after a drop to the downside. And then we had a gap to fill down below. So I kind of want to see how price reacts at this level here at 97.26. Right, this previous support turned into a resistance perfectly. So if this rejects again, we could definitely see some nice downside with a gap fill below. So I'll keep an eye on that, but we'll see what happens. Boeing. Nice flag here, actually, on Boeing. All right, first we had the drop down of this wedge, but now we are creating a nice little tight flag here. So this could totally break out in either direction. But again, Boeing is a pretty slow mover, honestly. Not really my favorite to trade. I'm surprised that last week we couldn't break out of this. Let's see. Amazon. All right, Amazon, we had this downtrend break. Right, moved to the upside, tested this resistance above. And now, right, we saw a little pullback, continuation. So now if 103.2 can break, we should see a push up to 104.2. But again, it's just not my favorite setups on that either. Netflix, we have earnings this week too. Again, I don't like any of these setups. Square, I don't like. CVS, this was what I kind of had planned from Friday. big wedge, but the further the wedge is from the pole, the less valid it becomes, right? The best kind of wedge there is a high tight flag, meaning we see a nice little short consolidation and then we break out, as opposed to, right, something like this, right? When a flag gets extended and it starts to look like this, the further it becomes from the flagpole, the less valid it is, right? This is what we're looking for in a flag, right? A high, tight flag, as opposed to a long, extended flag. All right, let me know if that makes sense to everyone. But I think that should make sense. Coin down 3%, right? This is another high, tight flag. But we're down here at the lows. So really my top watch today is NVIDIA, right? Favorite setup, Tesla, higher time frames. AMD's dropping below. Always will keep an eye on Apple, and then SPY and QQQ. Yep, further the less valid. Exactly. Right, and that works for falling wedges. It's hard to draw a falling wedge. Right, like that was a bad falling wedge. Right, like ideally you want a falling wedge to look something like that. Okay. Right, that is like a perfect falling wedge. A lot of people think that this is a falling wedge too. When it looks like this way, this is really bad. I'll fix it, but hold on a second. Right, when you have the flag, hold on, that is really bad. When you have the flag go all the way to the bottom, this is not a falling wedge. I mean, it is, but it becomes less and less valid. Right, the high tight flag is way better. Okay. What's going on, Nick? If everyone could drop a like on the video, I'd appreciate it. And VIX, right? VIX is going to be probably my top watch actually at open, right? Because this is going to tell me what's going to happen today, or at least at open. All right, this looks solid. If this breaks out, we see a push up, SPY to the downside. If we break down, SPY to the upside. Right, we'll have to keep an eye on the gamma levels as well from the dashboard. I posted, let me pull it up here quickly. In Market Talk, actually in Market Resources as well. Right, everyone should go read this. In the Market Resources section, I posted this. Right, when the street is long gamma, I don't know if you guys can read it on the screen, it might be tiny for you, but right, that means option market makers pretty much bought options. Okay, so this means that they want to buy low, sell high. Right? You can go through this yourself, but it's pretty self-explanatory after reading it. But definitely go take a look at this. Yeah, SPY's flat. Let's see the pre-market action. Yeah, so look here in pre-market, right? Pre-market, even extended hours on Friday, right? We moved up and we rejected this previous resistance that we tested here around 414. Right, so multiple times now we've tested 414 or 413 point whatever, 413.7. right? And now we're kind of breaking down, right? So puts can, actually might be the move here at open. Right? Based off of this, right? Potentially. Gotta see how it reacts. At 411.92, right, which is this previous resistance. Well, yeah, puts might work. And that's really all I'm looking at. What questions does everyone have? Let me know what questions everyone has, and I will get you an answer. Microsoft and Apple are just strong. Any time frame I watch VIX on. Any time frame I watch anything on. Right? I play price. Right? So when a price is moving through a level, it's going to be the same on any single time frame. Right? It's going to be the same on the 30-minute versus the 5-minute. Right? It looks the same. Just less noise. Right? So I'm typically trading on, excuse me, on, the 30-minute, the 1 hour. I'm taking a break on the challenge unless I see a really good setup. I'm only taking good setups for now on. We were at 3,800. We're back at 1,000. Opened it up yet, but we'll see what happens. Google got hit with news with Microsoft, right? They're... Yeah, pull it up. Excuse me. About the AI with Microsoft. Is reading gammas easy? Just which bars along? Pretty much, right? Price is going to try and magnet towards the highest gamma. Pretty much every time. Right? It's kind of like a volume profile. Right? If you take the gamma, it's on a horizontal or x-axis, and you kind of shifted it to a y-axis looking thing. Right? It's pretty much the same. All right, so Abby Smith asked, this is a very hot topic recently, and I'll tell you why. Right, so Abby asked, why don't I include how many contracts I bought in analyst alerts? It's easier to see whether you bought your usual or just a little to understand the risk. If I bought a little, it's a lotto. Simple as that. If I buy a main size position, which every single time it is, unless I say lotto, then it's between 1 to 3% of the portfolio. And it's extremely, extremely easy to understand. I'm not alerting that I'm taking 200 contracts or something. I'm not, right? Because 90% of the time, you guys will oversize in your portfolio, and then it's my fault, right? No one else in any other Discord alerts how many contracts they buy. So I will absolutely not alert that I'm buying 200 contracts, something which is pretty much a normal size position for me. Okay, and it's extremely, extremely easy to understand that if you have, right, let's go over this quickly. If you have, well, I'm going to pull it up because I actually wrote it out this week. Give me 1 second. Right? If you have a $10,000 account, right, and your average position size on every single play is 5%, And let's say someone alerts a contract for $500. You take one contract, that's 5%. It's so easy to understand. I don't understand how this is a problem. If a play is $250 and you're doing 5% per position, you take two contracts. There you go. It just doesn't make sense to alert the number of contracts, personally. If we're doing a $10,000 account challenge, sure, 5%, whatever. But just size the same on every trade unless it's a lotto, which you really shouldn't be taking that many lottos, right? Lottos are lottos. They're high risk. They should be only be played with profits. Right? If you have a $10,000 account and a play is $100 and you're sizing at 5%, you buy 5 contracts. If you're sizing with 3%, you buy 3 contracts. Numbers are numbers, right? My 20% is your 20%. My 1% is your 1%, right? Percents are all the same across the board. Dollar size is totally irrelevant. When you're looking at dollars, emotions will be in place, right? Everyone has emotions. And everyone has emotions tied to dollars, right? Dollars brings out emotions in people. But percentages is a different story, right? It's really unbelievable how this is such an incredible topic that people can't wrap their head around, right? My 5% is your 5%. 5% is 5%. Right? If I say I'm leaving runners, I'm leaving runners. It's as simple as that. If I don't say I'm leaving runners, then I don't have runners. Right? Don't cry about it. Right? It's unbelievable. But that's that. Everyone has to manage their own portfolio, right? No one's hand-holding you. And if you expect to be handheld, that's not me. Sorry, but right, I want to make money for myself too. Right? I put out all my plays. If you don't like it, don't take it. It's as simple as that. Exactly. Trade the same, no matter the account size. Right? And regarding my challenge accounts, right, why was I being more risky? Because it's just, I'm not going to sit here and trade a $1,000 account for 5% gains. For me, that doesn't make sense. I would be losing money in my personal life, and I don't want. Who wants to lose money, right? When I could be making X amount for myself. With that being said, my little rant for the day. 9:29 here. Market opens in 1 minute. Let's transition over to the Discord, and let's all have a good day. And good luck to everyone. I'll see you guys in the Discord.